Hi, welcome to Rocket Shop on WOMM The Radiator, streaming live online at BigHeavyWorld.com from the studio at Big Heavy World in Burlington, Vermont. Today we have Michael Nault joining us. Hi, Michael. How are you?
I am very happy to be here, is what I am.
Good. So you were on the show. Have you been on this show before?
I have not.
Okay, got it. So it's your first time. Welcome to Big Heavy World.
Thank you.
We're happy that you're here. I want to talk about like your musical background and kind of what got you originally into music and how it's developed.
Okay. Growing up, 5 kids in the family, and we had this big player piano that weighed about 5,000 pounds, and you could pedal the pedals and play the piano rolls. And I used to do that quite a bit, and my mom asked me if I wanted to take lessons when I was about 11, and I said yeah, and I didn't like it at first, but I'm the type of person who has a real hard time saying no. But by year 3, it started catching on, and I started having a lot of fun with it. But at the same time, I was taught just like purely classical, which meant if you can't read it, you don't play it. So what that ended up doing to me was I was afraid to join a cover band. I kind of had a couple of my own little originals, but I never really ventured out into anything. And so subsequently, I continued to sort of play. My first marriage, we had a grand piano that for whatever reason I didn't play too much. After 10 years into that, my dad had a massive heart attack right in front of me, helping me do something I asked him not to help me do. And that just sort of sent me on this spiral where within about 6 months, I was unemployed, living on mom's sofa, the whole thing. But that's when I started getting back into music and buying keyboards and whatnot. And then somebody showed me when I was trying to learn a Beatles book one page at a time, they're like, these little squares at the top, they just say the chords, and you can just play those. And part of me wanted to go back in time and just strangle my piano teacher. But the older I've gotten, the more I realize the only reason I can do these little classical things is because I learned that way. So, it took a while, but I'm very happy with how that happened. As time went on, I reached 40 years old, quit my job, sold every possession I had, moved to Los Angeles and joined a band. And the band was trying to be Pink Floyd meets Fleetwood Mac. And in much the Fleetwood Mac and Pink Floyd, there were a couple of personalities there that caused the band to collapse. But while I was out there, I met a person who wrote the only fan letter I had ever gotten, and it was about a song that I had done. And he had a studio out in Joshua Tree in the desert and invited my band, that I was part of, it wasn't my band, to go out there and record. And him and I just hit it off like no end, and then we created our own band, which was really great. The first band that I was in, there was the girl that was the singer, and I'm trying to segue into a song here. She was such a good singer, but it was so, cliches are cliche for a reason because it happens a lot. You have a really talented, good-looking person who's ambitious, who just makes the wrong choices and goes nowhere. And she ended up leaving us. But that was the first sort of song I wrote about somebody that wasn't somebody I was in love with or wanted to be in love with or imagined I was in love with or hated now that I wasn't in love with. Anyway, it was the first song about just somebody else. Mm-hmm. And what was crazy is, it's sort of, I wrote it before what happened to her, which was really sort of, mm-hmm. You feel it, you know, and totally. It's not like you're, it's, I don't know, music tends to multiply emotion, I think, mm-hmm. good or bad.
I agree.
Would you like to hear that song?
Yes, let's hear it. What's it called?
This is called The Songs She Sings.
Great.
So. The songs she sings in my head are still ringing. And then says these things. She makes you wonder what she's thinking. She's sad as hell, but never when she's singing. It's the kind of thing that shouldn't still be stinging. How long can you take all the sense I try to make? Ain't it rough? And don't you hate when someone fails to hesitate and think? The dream she keeps ain't the one that she's been living. It's the kind of thing she's done since the beginning. On the day she's gone, what will I be thinking? I'll remember her as long as I'm still singing. How long can you take all the sense I try to make? Ain't it rough? And don't you hate when someone fails to hesitate?
The Songs She Sings by Michael Nault. So I wanted to ask about your songwriting process and how that works, whether it happens differently every time, how that works.
It's spaghetti on the wall is probably the best way to put it. It just they just show up. Usually, it's words first, and then you find one part that works, and you grow from there. Something I really like doing is I'll come up with like a melody, not a melody, but just a chord progression, and then like say you're the singer. I would say just sing whatever you want, and then I'll find the 2 or 3 words that'll hint at the story you're trying to tell, or that I'm hearing. You might not even be trying to tell. It might be totally different, but I hear it, and then I put it together like a crossword puzzle to make it fit your melody. So then the singer's really comfortable with it because they know the melody, and then I get to write the words, and it's a lot of fun that way. I really, and this is something I've been trying to do with Abby, and this is a first, is like to truly collaborate with somebody else, to truly co-write a song, not have you help me polish mine or me help you polish yours, just something that doesn't have my smell on it or yours. It's just totally different. And I would have thought the letting go of the ego part to do it would be the hardest part. That's not. Just figuring out how to be sitting down with somebody and say, okay, let's do this now. Because when you write, usually it's, you pull out your notebook and you scribble something down. But now we're both sitting there looking at each other in the eye saying, write something, So what we ended up doing on this last one is we just threw out different ideas of what we might want to talk about. And when we come back again, she'll show me the song that she was made, and I'll show her the song I made, and maybe between the two of us, we'll twist it into something new.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Great. So speaking of collaborations, you have a couple of things out there that are collaborative projects. Can you tell me about those?
Well, there's right now the biggest one that's going on right now is the Cohen project, and it's KOAN, which was originally supposed to be exclusively about Leonard Cohen's music, where I'll never forget. I was living in Manhattan with my wife Aisha, and I had to go to Home Depot on a rainy day, and we lived on 115th, and Home Depot's on 32nd, and I walked it. in the rain, and I had earbuds on, and I was listening to Leonard Cohen on Spotify, and it was like each song was like, oh my God, that's the best lyric I ever heard, and then the next song is like, wow, and it was song after song after song with the most profound lyrics, and what I really want to do with that part of the project is introduce those lyrics to people with a sound bed that they can appreciate. Be it dance or be it techno or be it whatever it is. Um, Finding those other musicians to play with. So like there's 10 songs done now, and they range from violin and piano classical sounding to just full on electronica to sort of ambient stuff. Um, I'd love to get into alternative language stuff, like somebody who would sing in Spanish, somebody who would sing in French, and bring it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But as the project went on, and we played a few shows, for all the wonderful things about Leonard Cohen's music, it doesn't lend itself to a big party in a bar. It's not bar music that you're going to party to. So it's kind of morphed into maybe a half of that and a half of the originals. But I really, the most important thing to me is to play with as many different people as possible. And that's what's great about music, especially today. It doesn't, age doesn't matter the way it used to. Geography doesn't matter the way it used to. Money doesn't matter the way that it used to. It's wide open. So.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, are there any other artists, like living or dead or big or local,
Heroes?
that really that really like inspire you?
Oh, absolutely. Warren Zevon. Like, I have a list of bands that I could have seen and said no to at the time, because I'm really, if unless somebody pushes me to do something or asks me to do something, I stay in my little corner and I don't leave where I am. And I had the opportunity to see him in a room not a lot bigger than this, and I didn't do it. And I realized later in life, had I been at that show, it would have totally changed my trajectory in life. In the same way, had I ever taken a drama class in high school, it would have completely changed the trajectory. So what I liked about Warren Zevon is, the piano vocal stuff and the storytelling that he does. Um, Elton John and his chord progressions are just magical. Um, David Byrne, Talking
Mm-hmm.
Heads.
Yeah.
American Utopia. That was such. To me, that guy did the two best rock movies that have ever been done: Stop Making Sense
Mm-hmm.
and American Utopia. And I really aspire to be able to do something like that. And I do have this idea of a show where, imagine, instead of dancers dancing to the music, the dancers are creating the music. And the way they would do that is you have, like you have a velocity sensor on your wrists, on your legs. This move would do that. That move would do this. And they know they can dance any which way they like, but if they incorporate this move or that move or that move, it'll change the music or accent it. Also, imagine if you had four dancers in a circle with, like a pole in the middle, and it's broken into four quadrants. You have a ballet dancer, you have an African dancer, you have a hip hop dancer, and a ballroom dancer. And they're all dancing to that same beats per minute that's going on, but they're dancing in their style, and whoever's closest to the middle dictates that style more. So you can go in and out, and it's, what did I call it? Shoot. It was like cultural. It's like a cultural blending without having to enslave a lot of people. Like, how did you get Afro-Cuban music? You enslaved a bunch of people, and then you got that. You can do the same thing this way, in a fun way,
Mm-hmm.
But that's sort of a dream project. I'm looking forward to the next big Cohen show, which will be on February 8th here in Burlington, at Tank Recording Studios, and that'll have maybe a dozen different musicians at it. It'll only be like 40 people, because it's the third time in my life I've tried to do a big show. Like every 5 years, I get this itch to really do a big show. And the first one I did, I paid somebody to record it, and I got my money back because it came out unusable. Second one I did, the video was no good. So now it's like I'm leaving nothing to chance. We're going to go do it in a studio. They're going to record it and film it, and that'll be my little thing I can look on my iPad down the road somewhere. But it should be fun. Let's see. Want to hear another song?
Yeah, let's hear another one.
All right, so this one, that last one was sort of country-ish. And this one is about, this was another one sort of later when I started trying to write songs about different stuff. And this is between relationships as opposed to into one, like imagining what it might be with somebody and having that sort of conversation with them. So. What do I want from you? What do you see in me? Tomorrow's you wanna be, or you're trying just to see if it's good, if it's what you want, if it's true. Give it all you got for that one lonely shot at love, true love. Make me yours, maybe you might see who I am, what I want to be with you, as us together. What makes us different when there's so many more, all the same, like snowflakes in the rain, each washing into the other, searching for their drowning lover. They melt away until today, until today.
Michael Nault. That was great.
Yeah, my studio audience.
So I want to ask about like your lyrics, because you're a storyteller, you're a writer. How do you get inspired, and what do you, like kind of what are you trying to go for with the lyrics?
Show me the line over the top and I'll cross it sort of emotionally. I'm not afraid of like big emotional sort of themes. When I'm writing a song or when I'm learning a cover, if it doesn't make me cry the first 30 or 40 times I do it, I won't do it. Because then you kind of get past it. And it doesn't make you cry because you're sad. You just feel it. And that sort of tells me it's good. And it's just some of the covers that you hear people do, and that's always blows my mind that, you know, these musicians that, you know, I don't play covers, I don't play somebody else. It's like, that's like meeting an author who says, I don't read anybody else's book. You know, all I do is write my own, you know. But I like to, it basically always starts with a poem that happens in a moment, like the, what do I want from you? What do you see in me? That was the first line. That was it. And that just sat there forever. And then it just, oh, this rhymes with that, and that rhymes with that, and that rhymes with that. And you keep kind of reaching for whatever that emotional pull is. And every now and then you say, oh my gosh, that's it. You know, like, and what's so cool is as old as this language is, there's always something brand new. And when you come up with it, it seems obvious once you do. Like we were at an open mic last week, and I forget the girl's name, and I apologize for that. But she had a line in a song about, you know, somebody telling her, you know, we need a break. And, you know, she said a break does exactly what it says it's going to do. And it just, that really hit me. And that's what you kind of look for, I think. Something that is so small and personal, it becomes universal if you're lucky, and not poor me or, you know, love, 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 moon, June, spoon kind of thing.
Totally. That's
But
cool.
the hardest thing to do is to write happy songs.
Yeah.
It is. And
It is hard.
it's so funny. I had 4 songs picked out when I came in here, and I'm so for 1 for 2 what I'm doing, and I'm about to think 2 when you're ready. One that's not on the list either.
Nice.
But it's, as I said, it's so much fun being here in Burlington, where I've found such great musicians in a way that I've lived other places where there should be great musicians, or maybe there are, but they didn't come into my orbit. And that's what's been really great here.
That's great. How long have you been in Burlington?
About 2 years now.
Okay.
About 2 years. I lived here before in 2010 to 2012, and then I lived in Los Angeles, and then we lived in New York, and now we're back in Vermont.
Cool.
What? Oh, San Diego in California. How am I forgetting the best place I ever lived weather-wise? It was absolutely the best.
Can you tell me more about those experiences and kind of like what you were working on in those different places and how being in those places influenced your music?
When I lived in Los Angeles before I met my wife, in that band that we were in that I met my friend, we ended up forming a band with myself, the drummer, and the bass player from the first band. And it was the most magical 6 months of my life from like an artistic point of view, where I would drive out to Joshua Tree with my 2 friends every weekend, and we would stay at the guy's place, and it would be, what do you have this week? And I would just be pulling these songs out of my, I wrote this and I wrote this, and they were all older songs at the time that just got this life breathed into them. And what I really told myself, I realized at the time, but I've come to realize it more and more and more, was how special that time was and how good those friends are, the ones that are left. One of them, one of them's gone. But how, like, how do I describe it? Like, comparative to here, I meet really great musicians who are really great people. But we were all at a place at that time, kind of maybe the same age might have had something to do with it, but it was a unit. And I think in this, day and age, it's harder to be a unit because we don't get together in places anymore. We get together using things and technology. So we're not on a Wednesday night say, shoot, I'm going to go and meet you over here at the rehearsal room or whatever. It's just everybody seems to be more alone, I guess, and not
independent.
Not community is kind of a word, but it is that, and it's, you get a thing where, you go to rehearsal and you and the drummer are early and you have your own little thing, and then the bass player shows up and you talk about the guitarist who's always late, and it's like a family, where with people that I've been worked with more recently, I'm usually just in awe of them musically and so moved that they want to play with me. That really, really moves me. And everybody's like really good people, but part of me wants to have that band thing, and the other part says, this whole Cohen thing, the essence of it is that it's constantly moving parts. It's not the 4 of you. It's the 6 of you this week. It's the 2 of you next week. It's the 12 of you the week after that. So I tend to meander conversationally, by the way, if no one's noticed.
No, that's great. That's a good thing. Right. So I want to talk about recording. You mentioned your experience recording in Joshua Tree. Most of your music that you have out, is it stuff that you had recorded by producers, or do you produce your own stuff? Is it a mix?
It's probably 60-40, me producing it and other people. I generally look for people like editing. I'm really impressed with people, like we'll take Abby, for instance, and this violinist that I play with, Ryan Spooner. They have an ear for sound. Like, they know that's a G. When you hit it, it's just a G. I don't know, and I have an ear, I'd like to think, for a song structure, but I don't have that really good ear for sound. And it's good to hand that editing process over to somebody who has a good ear for frequencies,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I can hear it and say, oh gosh, yeah, that's great. I never would have known to, you know, drop this frequency by that much, bring this one up by that, move this to the left, that to the right. I wouldn't know to do that. I just know that really sounds good when it's done. So I love being able to hand that over to somebody. What I would love to do at some point is to find myself sort of a Rick Rubin character,
Mm-hmm.
or him himself, you know, who knows, name
Yeah.
high. But that whole just let it happen thing, and I do want to take a stab at that at this show on February 8th, because the 2 days before that, I have the whole studio for the 10 of us all day long. And as much time as that is, I know it's still going to feel like I'm racing the clock the whole time, but I'd like to be able to just try to relax and see what we come up with. Um, so that's from a producer point of view. I'd like the idea of having patience or just time to do things. And then I like the way when I work with other people, I'll never say, you know, don't do that, or I didn't like that. As soon as you do something I like, I'll like, oh my God, do more of that. And I
Mm-hmm.
like to respond to the same thing myself. So I guess I manage the way
Totally.
I like to be managed. Um, but I like the idea of just see where it goes,
Totally.
you
Yeah.
know. At the same time, as I've produced my own music, it's caused me to become a much bigger fan of 2 minute songs. A, because they're
Mm-hmm.
easier to work with, and B, as I listen to them, you know, like you go to a lot of like these open mic stuff, and it's like, oh, here comes the sixth verse, you know, and it was a great song. You're now beating it into the ground. You're like, I know the chorus. Like, I like the idea of leave me wanting more. Like, make
Mm-hmm.
me want to play it again. Don't
Totally.
make me catch my breath before I got to devote another 5 minutes to it. Um,
Yeah, I get
so,
that.
but my songs basically all I like. They come from life, you know. There's another one, and this one I was definitely on the list to play. And this one's about my wife Aisha, and we had sort of like a medical emergency in the hospital, and it didn't, you know, it was touch and go for a minute, and again, it wasn't. I didn't sit in the hospital and write a song. I sat in the hospital and wrote 8 words,
Mm-hmm.
and that became the song.
Totally.
Would,
Yeah.
would you like to hear that song?
Yeah, let's
All
hear
right.
it.
And this one's called There For You. So I'll wait for you in this world. I'll be there in the next. I'll be the one you see there in the sun, in the rain. There's no wondering when I see my love again. In the end, we're forever till time falls still. You'll be the one in my life. You'll always be my one and only. I wanna live in your light, in the fun, through the pain. There's no wondering when I see my love again. In the end, we're forever till time falls still. So,
Michael Nault with There For You. That was beautiful.
iconsofdecay.com if you want to see the website. First 10 people that sign up can come to the show that nobody else is going to get to. It's all invite only. But so we have 30 of our closest friends and 10 people who might want to go. Just say you want to go. It's on
Okay.
February 8th.
How do people sign up for that?
Go to iconsofdecay.com, contact me, and just sign up for the mailing list, and you're on.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great.
That's another thing. Web stuff is just, social media is a swamp.
Yeah.
It is a swamp. I wish I knew how to negotiate it better.
Yeah,
It's-
totally. That is the hardest part. It's
Mm-hmm.
very difficult. Yeah. So I want to talk about your live show experience. How often are you playing shows? How has that changed over time, and where are you playing and with who?
Not nearly enough. More so, be in Montreal on January 31st, and then Burlington on February 8th. But the way it's changed is like I'm very fortunate. Like if I like to use the analogy of like somebody who's getting married. There's two kinds of people. The one who just as calm as a cucumber till the day it happens, and then they're a wreck, or the person who sweats it incredibly till it's time to go on. And I'm more the second one. Once I'm up, it gets easier and easier. It's also become easier, and I've realized the importance of talking to the audience, with the audience if you can. It's as opposed to just head down, getting it right. And allowing, like at the most recent show we did, and again, it's that thing. You don't have a band where you have rehearsals every Tuesday. I have people that I play with individually, and then we all get together somewhere and do a show. So it's kind of a tightrope when it happens, which is fun, but at the same time, you don't have that same sort of musical conversation, because in any band, it's just a conversation where you have, the person who just never shuts up. You have the person who hardly ever says anything, but man, when they do, you better listen because it's so good. And then you've got the other person who's just trying to help everybody get along. And if you have the right mix of people, it's really cool. I think in music, the hardest thing to do is follow and not lead, which is sort of ironic, but it's very easy to, okay, everybody, follow me. But the growth has really come with engaging the audience better. I've never really been bashful or shy, but I haven't made the kind of eye contact that you should. I tend to, like even now when I'm playing with you, I'm not looking at you. I look down. I don't have to look down, but it just feels comfortable. This whole keyboard is like a shield. Like if you were to tell me, oh, your piano playing's no good, like it's not going to affect me one bit. You look at me just a little sideways about the singing, and I'm going to wither. But this sort of protects me. So it's like, it's a very, very comfortable thing. I'm looking forward to the day where I would try standing up, getting from in front of this thing and singing. It looks a lot of fun. I've done it in front of no one, and it's a lot of fun. But I definitely like having a keyboard in front of me.
Totally.
The other lesson that I've learned, who was it who said simplify, simplify, simplify? Thoreau or
I don't know.
I forget. But I've learned, I did a show about a year ago, and I have this keyboard plus two others, and I had gear all over the place. And 3/4 of it didn't work at the show, and found that out on stage. So it ended up being a very special acoustic-y kind of set. But what I learned is, in the subsequent shows, I just bring this one. And if I want to have fun with 3 keyboards and all the gear, I can do that at home. Like somebody once said to me, always do what you know you can do, not what you think you can do. Although as I'm saying that out loud, sometimes take a chance. There's nothing wrong with that.
Totally. Yeah. So what do you hope people take away from your music? What kind of experience are you trying to give listeners and an audience?
That it's okay to feel something really deeply. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you weird. It doesn't. I feel like everybody has this veneer or this protective layer where nobody wants to show any kind of vulnerability. Uh, no one wants to, and I don't want to say no one. That's not true, but too many people don't communicate in a way that if that person you were about to communicate was no longer there, you wish you did. You know, there's a lot of like everything's cool and you just to slow down and sort of feel. Again, you know, like I keep harping on social media sort of thing, but I feel that has robbed us of our attention spans. We just, you know, 30 seconds in, you're bored with something, or, you know, I'm telling you a story and you're thinking about your story that you're going to tell me. You're not listening to my story, and vice versa, you know, and I am guilty as anybody else is of that. But I'd love to see people unabashedly, unafraid, share their feelings.
Totally.
Regardless of who they are.
That's beautiful. That's great. So what have you got coming up? What are you working on currently, and what's in the future?
Back to my nervous person cramming between now and February 8th. This is, as I said, every 5 years or so I get this itch to do the show of a lifetime. And right now in my head, and this is going to have to be pared down and organized and everything, I've got like 29 original songs, 12 covers I want to do. It's way too much stuff to do, and I got to kind of pare it down. But again, I'm working with Abby here, my friend Tiana Goss, if anyone wants to look her up in Los Angeles. She is just a magnificent singer who has stage presence galore. She'll be out, but we can't practice ahead of time. I have a friend, Abraham Juarez, who's a drummer, also in LA. He'll be here. Hiro Sakaba in Manhattan. Everybody's coming from different places. So I don't know why I set it up this way all the time, but I practice individually with everybody. Like, I'll come to you, I'll come to you, I'll come to you. And then we all get together at the end, where it would be great if we had a room like this and we met every Tuesday and Thursday, but I feel like that ship has just sailed in life. It just has. It'll be cool when you can Zoom music without any latency at all, where we can just play live all of it. And then then the Matrix is really official then, I guess, and we'll never leave our bubbles. But at that said, I think it would be fun.
Yeah, that'll be really cool. Cool. So, we've got enough time for one more song, but before we do that, how can listeners best support you?
Go to the website, sign up. When you go to the website, that would take you to the YouTube channel, that would take you to the Instagram page, that would take you to the Facebook page, if anyone still wants to be taken to a Facebook page. That was sort of the hub of everything. And that page, it's called Icons of Decay because I feel like that's what we are looking at. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. You know, like, live music could be considered that. I've been wrestling with the idea of changing the whole name of the website to just the Cohen, but I don't want to be that squirrel crossing the street where you halfway turn around, go back, halfway turn around, go back. So iconsofdecay.com, and you can see any social media plane you might like. You'll hear different songs on there. You'll see some pretty interesting pictures. There's a slew of videos, a bunch of the Leonard Cohen stuff. So
great.
Producer Bob says your songs were short. If you want to do two.
Yeah, cool. My songs are short, right?
Yeah. I'd like to do two.
All right. So this is the one I wasn't going to do, but I'm going to try because we need to do a happy song. So we'll do a happy song, and this one is it's called "And Be Happy." Oddly enough, so. It isn't overnight. It's never out of sight. But to the dream, hold tight and be happy. An ocean lies between, smaller it seems. Keep working on a dream and be happy. And be happy. Oh, when you each in our own days, finding our own ways, that which makes us say we're happy. I've yet to hold you right, still you're there inside, and there's nowhere for mine. I'll be happy. I'll be happy. Oh, when
Michael Nault with Be Happy.
All right.
And we got time for another one.
All right, here's
as
a sad
well.
one.
All right.
And this one's called If Only. And again, there's so many songs about regret. I mean, and I heard, was it Orson Welles was asked about regret, if you had any, and he's like, are you out of your mind? Everybody has millions of them. I have millions of them. It doesn't mean you're unhappy, but everybody has regrets. It doesn't mean they stop you. It doesn't mean they are a negative thing for you, but everybody has them. And this is sort of a song about regret. I know I don't deserve it, but give me one more chance. I'm sure I'll have to earn it, but nothing says I can. If only if only I'm a butterfly's winter daydream of a sunlit summer morning. Just a butterfly's winter daydream of a sunlit summer morning. Just you and me. If only you were the one, my lonely fall in love, still unfinished, still it ends. Rainbows shine the brightest around the bend. If only if only I'm a butterfly's winter daydream of a sunlit summer morning. Just a butterfly's winter daydream on a sunlit summer morning. Just you and me.
If Only by Michael Nault. Thank you so much, Michael, for coming in and joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Of course. We'll have you back after your big show at
Thank
some
you.
point, hopefully.
Again, first 10 people sign up. You get to come.
Yep.
No charge, but it's a very elite group. Not elite, select.
Iconsofdecay.com.
Yes.
Great. Cool. Thanks for listening to the Rocket Shop Radio Hour on the Radiator, bringing you live music and conversation with local artists. We're off next week. Then we have Breathwork joining us in 2 weeks on December 18th. Thank you so much for listening, and good night.
Yay! Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for doing this.